Dzień dobry, assalamu alaikum, ciao, guten morgen, namaste, bonjour. How are you today? Good morning, good morning, good morning. This is Ken at 10 and woohoo, it's the bank holiday weekend ahead. How are you? Hope you're doing well. This is Ken at 10. We are James Alexander Estate Agents. We broadcast daily from our offices here in SW16 Norbury, which is situated between Streatham and Croydon, with Streatham to the north, Croydon to the south. We're a Zone 3 commuter area. So we're at the coalface and we talk about property, what's going on here locally, what's going on nationally. And thanks very much for joining us. If it's your first time here, welcome. Please do come back, like and share. If you come back again, thanks for rejoining us. Please do like and share. A few things today. First of all, the bank holiday weekend, what does it mean for property? Well, at the moment, there's a real shortage of new properties coming onto the market, both for sale and for rent. We have far more tenants than we have properties available. We have far more buyers than we have properties available. Specifically with the buyers, it's 3-bedroom family housing that's lacking. And specifically with rental, it's the smaller units, the 1 and 2 bedroom flats that are most popular, but even 3-bedroom family homes now we're getting quite good demand for. The larger homes here always seem to struggle a bit. Anything above 3 bedrooms seems to be more of a struggle, mainly because we look for families. We don't like multiple sharers because of the risks and dangers of falling into the house in multiple occupation and the rent-to-rent scams that go on, frankly. So in terms of the market generally, what can we expect from the bank holiday weekend? Well, we're quite busy already with the stock that we have available. We just don't have enough stock available. And this is going to be the case this year for the rest of the year. It should be no surprise to you that there's not much stock available in July, August, because generally speaking in July and August, there isn't much stock available. Why? Well, because mostly people are away on holiday. Families take their holidays and, they don't want to sell during the holiday time. They start to think about selling when we come back into September, the mums market, and that's coming on shortly. So we're looking forward to that. We can expect substantially less property coming to the market generally. That's a gut feeling because many people brought forward that decision in order to take advantage of the 15,000 saving before June. So we can expect less supply of property, but still the demand is strong and confidence is high. So we expect that to mean that prices will be pressured in an upward direction, but there just won't be the supply to fulfill the demand. Be interesting to see. We'll keep you updated as to how it's happening here from the coalface, selling and letting directly to the folk in the street of London Road in Norbury. Let's look at the general headlines now. House prices expected to climb on cheap cash and hunt for space. Well, this has been the case for some time now, but this is an article from the Daily Mail, and it says supply shortages and a desire for more living space, according to a Reuters poll of housing market analysts, are the key driving factors. Asked what would be the biggest driver of UK home price over the next 12 months, 4 of the 12 respondents said that the desire for more space, 3 named shortages of supply, and 5 others said easy monetary policy. On the flip side, when asked what the biggest challenges and downsides were, they mentioned higher interest rates and, of course, the pandemic. Well, we would echo that, and I would say that, the most important thing is the availability and supply of cheap money. And that looks likely to continue for some time yet. This is not financial advice. If you're looking for mortgage advice, seek it from a specialist, independent financial advisor. But our gut feeling is interest rates are low. They're going to stay low. They're going to have to stay low for quite a long while, which is why there's so much cheap money around. And whilst there's confidence in house prices and record levels of savings, that means that banks and building societies have money to burn. Literally, they have money that's sitting there and it's not earning anything. When they grant a mortgage, it earns them money. So they'll be looking to do that. And providing you'd be really surprised. A lot of people think, oh, banks, building societies, they don't want to loan the money. That's not true. They really do want to do the business. They have to do the business to fulfill their targets. But that doesn't mean that they won't put you through the mill. Of course they do. In many cases, unreasonably so. They will investigate your circumstances very thoroughly. But if you are in a strong position, you will find that money is cheap. And how this manifests itself is in 2 different ways. Number one, you may be able to find that the house that you thought you would buy for X price per month will be much less because the payments are lower. And number 2, you may actually find that you can borrow more than you expect, therefore getting a nicer house, something more luxurious perhaps. And I know the headline figures are always horrendous when you look at house prices. You always look and think, oh my gosh, that's a huge number. It always will be a huge number. It was a huge number 30 years ago when I started buying property. And even then, the advice was look at the numbers of the monthly payments and whether you can afford them. That should be the deep soul-searching question. Can you afford it? And if you can afford the monthly payments, bearing in mind the alternative is rental. And in our experience right now here in Norbury, the rental payments are quite often substantially higher than the equivalent mortgage payment. The problem for most tenants is that they can't get that deposit together. It's very frustrating for them. And therefore, they're in a position where they're paying rents that are higher than the equivalent mortgage payment. Many of those people are struggling and trying to get onto the ladder. And good luck to you if you're in that position. It's worth it in the end, but I know it's really hard to do. And this is where the new builds come in, and new build companies, they are able to provide deposits to you. And quite often they do. And this is the way that they get higher prices, because they've got a unique marketplace where the private market can't compete, because we're not allowed to provide deposits in the private market. Only the big house builders can do this. And coming on to that, there's an article in the Times today. Britain's biggest house builder, Barratt, is constructing the smallest homes yet. And these are targeted at the priced out renter. The average flat, in terms of size, the average flat in the UK is this small flat, of course, the one beds, 463 square feet. And if you can picture 4 car parking spaces, that's about what it is. Barratt's newest homes in Harrow, northwest London, are 398 square feet. That's really small. And my advice to you, if you're a first-time buyer looking for a home, then if you can afford that deposit and you don't have to rely on the builders, then do look at the second-hand market, because you will find substantially bigger properties and they will be the same price or cheaper. So it's well worth looking at the second-hand market if you have that deposit and can afford to do so. Rental-wise, Hamptons are reporting that rents are rising again. This should be no surprise with a lot of the landlords exiting the sector. Rents stabilised across Greater London, but increased 4.1% in zones 1 and 2 in the year to July, with the average room rents up to £803 a month. £800 for a room rent. It's extraordinary, isn't it? And Hampton's head of residential search, Anisha Beveridge, said many students and young graduates, who make up the biggest source of room demand in the capital, temporarily left London last year. The UK's reopening has pulled many of these back in, and that's why rents have risen. Town centres are beginning to adapt after an 83% fall in department stores. 83%, that's extraordinary, isn't it? And this is something that really does need to be addressed, in my view. On the one hand, we've got another article today talking about councils preparing to house Afghan refugees. Everyone's preparing for the huge influx. So far, we found housing for 2,500. We're expecting 15,000. That's on top of the already huge demand for housing in the UK, council housing, that isn't available. So we can expect pressure and demand on housing to increase ahead of the builds. There's no way, in my view, Boris Johnson's made a nice soundbite about how they're going to provide all these houses. I'm not convinced. We've never met our existing housing targets. So how we're all of a sudden coming up with another 15,000 properties, I don't know. The truth is, I don't think we will, but it remains to be seen. But one of the things that could be the solution to that is all of these areas with large department stores that are currently sitting vacant, they could be converted into housing. And why not? If they're not being used for other things, and these massive sites of these huge development stores, these huge stores could be huge housing developments with much smaller retail units, allowing small private retailers in and the residential space that is needed. So, for me, that's something that's really missing right now. But nonetheless, things are moving on. So in terms of the market, what can we expect this weekend? Well, a lot of sellers expect that it's going to be really busy in terms of activity of buyers looking for houses. And our experience is not so. What we find is that people tend to use their bank holidays to enjoy their time with their families, extend their holidays and the like. So we don't suspect it will be any busier than the rest of the holidays have been. What we'll find is that in the second week in September, as things settle down, people get into their normal routines, then it gets really busy. It stays really busy for the month of September into mid-October. And then it starts to quieten down for the year as people batten down the hatches, decide to not move this year. Because, of course, with a 3 to 4 month lead between actually putting an offer down and having an offer accepted and then completing a sale, then you're skipping to the other side of the new year. And people like finite decisions within the current year, or they like to hold off those decisions and do it next year. What they don't like is transactions holding over across the holidays at Christmas. So in our experience, September, October, set to be fairly busy, lots of demand, not so many sellers. So if you're thinking of selling, could be a good sweet spot for you. In terms of buyers, keep an eagle eye open, because you are going to find there's a shortage. There's lots of competition for housing out there. So make sure you put your best foot forward with those offers. If you're interested in offers and how to put them forward and what to do, we have done a podcast on this, and it's well worth having a look. I'll put it on the banner at the bottom there. But the last episode that we released with Hema Sharma of Alan Buckley Solicitors was all about bids and sealed bids, how to put forward offers, what to do to make sure you have the best opportunity when you put forward your offer. And I hope that's helpful for you. So we're looking forward to a fabulous, hopefully sunny bank holiday. It's certainly sunny right now in Norbury, but the forecast is mixed for this weekend. I don't know where all these reports of all this massive sunshine come from, because it never seems to come to fruition, does it? So the good news is fantastic long weekend. Great. Bad news is it's September next week. Can you believe it? It's a new month. So I hope you have a fabulous bank holiday. We'll be back on Tuesday after the bank holiday. Until then, stay safe, look after your family and friends. We'll see you then. Take care.